Whisk it. Whisk it good. Hey everyone, it's just me today. Doing something a little different. So here it is, the beginning of November, and a lot of my friends and coworkers have asked me, how do you get so many cookies done? I mean, every year for the last, I don't know how many years, I make anywhere from 8 to 12, maybe 14, depending on the year and what I have, but anywhere from 8 to 12 different kinds of Christmas cookies. And it is a lot of baking, it is a lot of prepping, but I think they probably imagine I do this all in one day. Well, I'm here to show you how I organize myself, at least in that area, every year for Christmas time. So if you are interested, come see how I do this today, okay? Okay, so one thing is that dry ingredients, flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, all that, they have a long shelf life. So usually around the very end of September, beginning of October, or even throughout the entire month of October if you have a busy schedule, get some gallon-size freezer bags, and I also get the quart-size bags. I know this is a whole lot of plastic, but it will get reused. But anyway, so most of the cookies that I make fall into a category where a creaming method. So that just means that you cream the sugar with the butter or fat or whatever first, and then you add the dry ingredients and whatever extra flavors after that. It's usually a 2 to 4 step process depending on the cookie. Chocolate chip cookies, for example, you've got your sugars and butter first. Separate bowl, you mix the other dry ingredients, the flour, the leavening agents, the salt, and then the eggs go in. You want to get it, whatever. This isn't a cooking video, but you get my point. It's the creaming method. So I measure out all the stuff that goes in with the butter, the first part of it, in a little baggie, because it's usually less than the flour. And then I write what type of cookie it is, and that this is just the sugar portion of that. And sometimes, to make it easier that day when I'm going to mix the doughs, I just write what else I need for this part of it. Like this needs 1.5 cups of butter and 3 eggs to go with this. Make that, label it, set it aside. Then I measure out all the flour, the baking soda, that type of stuff, and put it in a gallon-sized bag, and I will explain that later. But anyway, so I take, the whole month of October usually, or a good weekend if I have off on a weekend, and just make, this isn't even everything I'm making, but I have quite a bit of stuff here that also helps me organize that part of my pantry, because then I know what I'm going to run out of sooner, and what I need to stock up on more for next year. Like right now I need more sugar, and I need some brown sugar, so I will not be making peanut butter cookies, but I do have some other things. So that's the first part of what I do. Get all my bags, label them, and separate the ingredients, measure them out. Boom, you can stick them in the cupboard. I pulled them out so that you could see most of them. That is step 1 of my cookie baking process. I'd also like to point out something real quick. I've taken all of my favorite recipes that I use the most and just put them in a colorful, cute little notebook. And like real quick, I'm not going to give you the full recipe. If you want to pause that, that's on you. But but I've just, there's still room, still have a few more recipes. So as I create recipes or find recipes that I really want to try, I just jot them down in here. And I mean, a lot of my recipes from when I worked in the bakery and owned the bakery for briefly are in here. And it's just, it's a lot easier to notice than looking for a big clunky cookbook or having things in 5 separate cookbooks. Pick your favorite recipes, get a little hardcover notebook, and just jot them down. That way they're all together and it's easy to find. For somebody who tends to lose things often, this is fairly easy to find. So that's just a side note. Okay, since I picked up the cookie butter mix, I figured I would just run with that one. So basically this is my sugar cookie recipe, but my husband and I tried some cookie butter a month or two ago, and it's good, but I really don't have a use for it every day, so I thought, well, all these spreads and stuff I'll put in my Christmas cookies. So this is going to be cookie butter cookies, and I already have my rest of my ingredients measured out. I have 3 eggs, 3 sticks of butter because it calls for 1.5 cups. 1 cup is 2 sticks, ½ cup is 1 stick. Since this is the creaming method, we're going to use the paddle attachment. Paddle attachment for most cookies other than meringues, you would use a whisk. But we're not doing that today because I don't have patience and I don't really like them. Alright, so first step is putting the butter, okay, the sugar, butter and the sugar in. It does call for eggs too, but I'm going to, see, look at that. That was so easy. I didn't have to stop and do anything. Just pour it in, voila. And what I do with these is I like rinse them out and reuse them for other things. You can still use them. These thinner plastic ones probably only get about 2 or 3 uses of, but the thicker ones I've used over and over and over again, and they're just fine. So lock it, and we're going to start out on a low speed. Just kind of mix it. And you do have to scrape as you go. I recommend getting a small scraper like this because not only is it good for scraping down the sides, but it's good for getting inside the jar. A really big spatula isn't going to fit and get all the little nooks and crannies. So this size spatula is perfect for baking, I think. Now, all the butter clung to the middle of the paddle. So when that happens, you just stop, open the thing, and kind of poke at it until it falls. Scrape the sides down, give a little stir. Now I have it on the 2nd speed. That'll get it a little bit more. Okay, so I don't know if you can, but can you kind of see how the dough looks? See how it's, you can't really tell the difference between the sugar and the butter anymore, right? That's good. Now that means you're ready for the eggs. So we'll put it back on the low speed. You add 1 egg at a time. Make sure it gets fully incorporated. I guess this is kind of a baking. Okay. For this last one, I'll show you what's going on so you know what to look for. Alright, that's a fully incorporated egg. Yep, now it's getting sloppy. Alright, now that you see that, alright, that looks pretty good to me. Now we're ready to very slowly add in the dry ingredients. I'm going to scrape down my bowl first. You always scrape the paddle attachment as well. Just going to scrape down the sides. That way you make sure you get all of the sugar. Although this has pretty much all of it. But becomes second nature. I love baking. All right, that's ready to go. Now we're gonna put it on low and very slowly. I'm only gonna open up one side of the dry ingredients bag. So here we go. So I mix in about maybe a half a cup at a time, let it get incorporated, shake a little more out. And if you do it this way with the bag, you don't need the cover. I have a cover that came with it, a flour guard, if you will. A little bit of flour comes out like that, but it's really, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. You're not using a whole lot. And if you take your time, you're not going to lose a whole lot of your flour mixture. So, usually that happens when you're kind of impatient. I know about impatience, trust me. Alright, we don't need to film this whole part. Okay, so I have stopped my flour process with about a cup of flour mixture to go because I realized this would probably be the best time to incorporate the cookie butter. That way it doesn't get too dried out and the rest of the flour will have something else to stick to. But man, this is definitely one of my favorite batters. This is one of my favorite. This is, here we go. Okay, if you're cooking for somebody or baking, always sneeze into your armpit, man. You gotta cover it. I did not sneeze into my hands. We're good. So, now we're gonna add the cookie butter, but I'm gonna go get another spatula. Okay, mise en place, right? Everything in its place. That's not just for cooking, that's for baking as well. And I should have had a backup spatula. Wow. This is either going to be really good or really terrible. I don't know. I have never made cookie butter flavored cookies. I chose my sugar cookie recipe to add it to because it had the most flour. And I thought since it was already sweet, you know, it wouldn't be too sweet with some of my other cookie doughs that are require a lot more sugar and sometimes even 2 types of sugar. There we go. That pretty much scraped. Just use the paddle attachment. All right, let's try it again. A helpful tip: scrape down the bowl while this part's full, because then you'll have more room to get your hands down in there. This has a very interesting smell. Not in a bad way, just it almost smells like popcorn, and I'm not sure how that's happening. But yeah, I smell like cookie butter. You smell like popcorn. How about that? Now I'm going to put it back in, finish mixing, finish adding my flour. We'll see how it tastes. Okay, well, only time will tell. I'm going to try it. That tastes like a graham cracker cookie dough. Oh, like those Teddy Grahams or something, like the cinnamon Teddy Grahams. That's exactly what that tastes like. These are going to be some interesting cookies. Alright, so now on to part 2. Hey, remember that big plastic bag I had earlier that had the flour mixture in it? Whatever happened to that? It's right here. Did you notice I didn't put a date on it? I wonder why. And I didn't rinse it out yet. There's reason for that too. So now, step 2 of my cookie making process starts in the beginning of November, which is why I'm doing this video now. So whatever cookie dough it is. I'm going to scoop this into the bag, and then I'm going to lay it flat, put a date on it, today's date, so I know how long ago it was that I made it, and lay it flat, press it down, put it in the freezer, and it'll be ready for December. So basically, I pick a day where, you know, I have nothing going on, or choose to have nothing going on, whatever the case may be. Today is my day off, and I'm actually feeling a lot better than I did yesterday. So I am going to be making a bunch of these cookie doughs up. I'm not baking anything yet, but step 2 of my cookie baking process is to get all the doughs made, put them in bags, put them in their labeled bags, put a date on them, and freeze them. And then they are all ready to be baked by the time December rolls around. And I wait till December because I like baking cookies on Saturdays for some reason. Saturday is just a great day to bake. I don't know if that's because growing up, you know, that's when my mom baked bread, or sometimes did her baking. Well, Saturdays were always her cleaning day, but she usually, you know, if she was in a baking mood, that seemed to be the day to do it. And yeah. So I love baking on Saturdays, but so this is step 2. Step 3 is I will pick a Saturday in December, probably my first Saturday off, and blare Christmas music and bake a lot of my dough cookies. And then I'll take a second Saturday that I have off or don't have to work, you know, most of the day, and I will bake the rest. Like I make chocolate no-bakes. That's something you can't make. It's not a batter, it's a drop cookie. And now I can measure out the dry ingredients for that, and I probably will. I'll probably do that sometime this month. But those type of things, you know, they are my, if I do the velvet cutout cookies this year, it needs to be refrigerated overnight, the dough, so I'm not going to freeze it, because I don't think I've ever frozen that cookie dough. It would probably be okay, but I'm just not going to chance it. I know what works and stick to what works. But here, let's move on with this process here. Okay, so it's a little far away, but I wanted to show you what I do. So I squeeze all the extra air out, and then Ziploc it shut. Of course, make sure the track of the Ziploc bag is clean so you don't struggle with it like I am right now. Okay, and then I just kind of push it down, lay it flat, and I do this so that I can stack them in my freezer. And I try and make it as even as possible, but there's an air bubble here, so I'm just going to let out that air real quick and shut it. Put today's date on it, put it in the freezer. Step 2 is done. And step 3 will happen in probably the beginning of December. And then once I make the cookies, all the cookies, then I freeze them. And then usually pull them out a day or two before Christmas. And, you know, I usually have a little cookie tray made up Christmas Eve, and a little meat and cheese tray made up Christmas Eve, and I invite our parents over after Christmas Eve service, and, you know, we just have a good time and maybe make some hot chocolate and stuff like that. So I know it's a little early for some of you for the holidays, but I've had people asking me, you know, how do you get all of those cookies made? They probably, like I said, they probably imagine me doing this all in one day, and the truth is that I don't. I break it down into steps. So get all your dry ingredients measured, labeled, weighed up, put it back in the cupboard until you're, you know, ready to bake. Ready to at least mix them all together. Freeze the dough, you know, and then whenever you're in a baking mood, bake them all up and see how it goes. So this year I'm trying a couple new flavors, and maybe in December I'll show you a video of all the different cookies that I'll be making this year. I'm still not sure yet, quite yet, but I do have some planned. So that's it, and maybe, you know, this will inspire you to get yourself organized and ready for the holidays by, you know, measuring things out ahead of time. And that's all I got. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too boring for some of you. You know, I'm not trying to do a cooking show here, but I do want to explain what I'm doing. So, you know, not everybody's a baker. Not everybody understands things, and so, and some of you do, and you know how to bake far better than I can, and that's awesome. So there you have it. The cookie butter dough is all made. I just need to put today's date on it and put it in the freezer. One of probably 4 or 5 doughs I'll be making today. Because like I said, I need more sugar. I need more brown sugar, so I can't do the peanut butter cookies. And I can't do my chocolate chip ones without the brown sugar either. So I'm at a little bit of a standstill, but maybe I'll measure out the oatmeal for my batches of chocolate no bakes. So I'll try and get a lot more of my ingredients organized today and things made. But that's it. This is, and you know what? This is like the start of the Christmas season for me. I absolutely love baking, and I love doing all of this, and you know, I love sharing my cookies and my baked goods with my coworkers. It's, number one, it's fun for me. It makes me happy, and it's, you know, part of, you know, I may not be able to help you pay your bills or something, but I can give you something to try and cheer you up on the holidays. I don't know. But I always enjoy Christmas time. It's my favorite season. It's my favorite holiday. And I absolutely love it. So there you go. Alright, well, we'll see what our next adventure is. And thank you for watching. I know I'm a chatterbox, but thank you for watching if you've made it through the whole video. And hopefully this was helpful. Have a wonderful day.